All right, welcome. This is Growth OD. It's a Monday and everybody's here. You got three goat heads behind me in big image. And I'm going to show you what they look like close up here. This is a
Goodness.
goat head, and you can see it has two horns like a goat and a little goatee like a goat. And there's another horn that I'm holding on to. It's got three horns. And I think that was the design of the invasion of Normandy when they wanted to stop tanks from getting on shore. Anyway, today we're going to do something I think really fun. We'll have two breakouts. I'm just going to show you two short films and one to kind of explain about what is being of leadership. And thanks to the Enthink Circle, we got that whittled down to seven W's. And we reviewed a couple of films we did for Thinkment. Both were rejected as too appreciative, too positive, lacking in balance. So then I got carried away for today, as you might imagine. And the second one is going to do the Epstein files, looking at all of the um, seven W's of the leadership that's going on by political parties, by the media, by corporations, by universities, and by journalists, all kinds of things. So, but we're not going to get into the names. Basically, I want to say that the victims have come forward telling their stories, which pretty much are holding up as true stories. And then the bureaucrats are trying to do everything they can to protect their turf. So I'm going to try to mediate this discussion when it happens later today. So first, I want you to understand what are the seven W's. And now you've seen what a goat head looks like close up and how small they are, little tiny things. And we are just it's like overrun here. We've been colonized. We had some peach trees and we watered them in the desert. Big mistake. Maybe too much water. A goat head got in there. Only takes one, and in about 30 days they produced a, a puncture vine, they're called, which is, by the way, is a superorganism. In Myra J. Hurd's language, it's a superorganism. Sabine and I are doing a book, and she's illustrating. And the human being is a superorganism. I'm going to get into that a little bit. Just want to let you know that this metaphor that I'm going to use today also has a real counterpart in the world. Um, so we can't walk anywhere without all these goat heads. We've called in, some of you remember Siggy. I'm handing a Siggy a shovel and sending him over to the peach trees to see if he can dig out one that's about 4 feet high. Normally they just lay in the ground. Anyway, you can see I'm excited about today. So, you guys got any questions before I dive in here or what we're doing? So, it's the nature of existence of leaders, how they exist in the world. And this first one, I'm going to show you. I don't even need to tell you because it's in the video what I'm going to do. So, if there's no questions, I'm going to go find it and bring it on up here for you. And let me shrink my little background. There we go. And boom, 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 boom. Okay, I gotta go bring up the video. Amateur. Here I am being a goat. I've been calling myself a goat head all weekend. So as I've been working on this. All right, there it is. Let me bring up this thing here, get it on the right channel. Hmm. And stop. And let's see, should work. Apologies and all that. All right. And I think um, I'll just tell you, this is about the energies, and it's about this book, in case you can't see it in the video, by Gurudev Shichabaniji, who's a Jain monk and taught me and taught Grace Ann the 7 energy centers, which I'm applying to leadership. And those of you that used to go to the quantum shamanic thing will remember that. And here we go. Let's see if this is a good way to go. And background, set it up. All right. Okay. So if we can get sound, there's sound. Boje, and I want to introduce you to what I call the energy centers of leadership. I think there's 7 energy keys that open these doors if you can get through your own rusty locks and get into them. And that takes meditation and practice. And I learned it from Gurudev Sri Shichabaniji. And you can get the book yourself, The Psychology of Enlightenment, Meditations on the 7 Energy Centers. So I am into Jainism since I met Grace Ann Roselle, right? It's a practice in India. And Gurudev was teaching me the Sanskrit words for these energy centers, and gave me my name, Arihanta, which I thought meant conqueror of inner enemies. And I meditated on it every day for an hour for 10 years. And I went back to him and said, hey, I'm getting tired of meditating on my inner enemies. It's kind of depressing. And he says, hey, Arihanta doesn't mean that, David. It means everyone is your friend. You have no enemies. And I said, what? He said, yes, I'm teaching you the original Sanskrit of the word Arihanta and these other words for the energy centers. And I know you're an educator and a leader, and this will help you. These 7 energy centers, what I call the 7 keys of leadership energy. So enjoy the video, and I know that you tune into your own energy. I know that you walk in a room and you can sense the energy of the room, of the people there, or you walk into a part of your world environment and you step on a goat head and you get a shock of that energy as those spines enter your body. Okay, so this is about that. And it's one of the things we do at Growth OD is we're very into understanding our own energies, the energies of the world that we're in, what I call the world of being. All right, enjoy the video.
Right. Today we are jumping into a really unique way of looking at leadership. It's a framework from Dr. David Michael Boje, and it's all about an inward journey. We're going to use 7 simple questions to unlock what he calls our 7 energy centers. So let's get started.
So let's start right where Dr. Boje does, with a question for you. Seriously, take a second and think about this. Do you feel your own inner energy? That feeling, that sense, that's the foundation for everything we're about to unpack. It's the start of a personal journey into what leadership is really all about.
Okay, so what you're seeing here gets to the heart of the problem we all have. Every single second, our brains are getting hit with millions of bits of information. It's impossible to process it all. So what do? We use what Dr. Boje calls a story filter. It basically takes this giant, chaotic flood of reality and narrows it down into a story that makes sense to us. But, and this is a big but, that story is not the whole truth, not by a long shot.
And this number is just wild. The theory says that 99.9% of all the sensory information coming at you gets filtered out. It never even reaches your conscious mind. So the reality you think you're living in, the story you tell yourself about who you are and what's going on, it's all built on just a tiny, tiny sliver of what's actually out there. Your filter just makes up the rest to keep the story going.
To get a handle on this, Dr. Boje gives us 2 ideas: story seeds. Think of these as little pieces of raw, unfiltered reality, just pure experience. Then there's the story filter. That's the part of your mind that acts like a bouncer, picking which seeds get in, which get ignored, and even twisting some of them to fit the story you're already telling. You can see how a leader who doesn't know about their own filters could get seriously stuck, right? They'd be making huge decisions based on a totally incomplete picture.
So how do we get better at this? How do we start to see a little more of that unfiltered reality? Well, this is where the 7 W's come into play. Dr. Boje calls them 7 keys, and each one is meant to open up a rusty lock on one of our core energy centers. And believe me, the order here is really, really important. Let's grab that first key.
First up, the who key. And no, this is not about your job title or what it says on your business card. This is about your deep, spiritual character, your most authentic self. The rusty lock here is that fake, superficial mask we all sometimes wear. When you really figure out your true who, you ground yourself in something solid, something real. This whole process connects straight to your root chakra, which is the foundation of your entire being. It's all about feeling secure in your true self. And to really bring this home, Dr. Boje shares his own who. His given names, David Michael Boje, actually translate to Beloved Archangel Boje. Later in life, he was given another name, Arihunta, which he learned means you have no enemies. You see, these aren't just labels to him. They are his who. They're a compass, a constant reminder of his core identity. It's such a powerful way to anchor your leadership in something personal and profound.
Okay, the second key is what. And this one is a major perspective shift. The rusty lock is thinking of yourself as just one single separate person. The key is to realize you're actually a superorganism. You are a walking, talking community of trillions of living cells, all working together. When you start to embrace that incredible teeming aliveness inside you, you tap right into the sacral chakra, your center for creativity and raw potential. It's about feeling the life force of the whole colony that is you.
So this kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? If you are this complex superorganism, this living ecosystem, then what are you feeding it? What energies are you letting in? Think about the people, the places, the information you're around all day. Is it helping your ecosystem thrive, or is it basically pollution? The third key, when, completely messes with our normal idea of time. So many of us get stuck in this one straight-line story of our past, a story that our filters have bent way out of shape. The key here is to see time as more fluid, more flexible. You can actually restory your past by focusing on what Dr. Boje calls little wow moments, these little flashes of insight and potential. When you reclaim your own story, you take back your power, and that fires up the solar plexus, your center for self-expression and will.
And here is just an incredibly powerful example from Dr. Boje's own life. He was facing terminal cancer. But instead of seeing it as just the end of his timeline, he completely reframed his relationship with it. He found a way to be grateful for the lessons his cancer cells were teaching him. He restoried that when, and he turned a moment of absolute crisis into a source of unbelievable power and, you know what? Healing.
Moving on to where. This one reminds us that leadership never happens in a vacuum. It's always tied to a place. The rusty lock is just completely ignoring your environment. The key is to truly understand and care for the place where you live and work. This deep connection to your where and everything in it is what opens up the heart chakra. It lets you find a sense of love and compassion for every living thing that shares that space with you. Dr. Boje has this perfect metaphor for this from his ranch in New Mexico, the goathead weed. It's this nasty, invasive plant that, if you don't do anything about it, will just take over and kill everything else. For him, a goathead leader is someone who just doesn't care about their place, and they let toxic stuff spread and ruin the whole environment. It's such a clear picture of how a leader's awareness of their where directly impacts the health of their entire team or community. The fifth key is a big one: why. This is your fundamental purpose, what he calls your wisdom motive. The rusty lock is when we just sort of absorb the whys from our parents or our company or society without ever stopping to figure out our own why. But when you find your personal why, everything changes. You get this clarity and this courage to speak your truth, and that naturally opens up the throat chakra, which is the source of your authentic voice. And this leads to a pretty tough question for all of us. Think about your own leadership voice. Is it kind of fading out because it's not hooked into a deep personal why, or is it getting stronger, clearer, becoming a voice of real wisdom because it's coming from a place of true purpose? Okay, next we've got the with key. This gets to the very core of leadership, which is all about relationships. It's about that web of connections we're all a part of. The key is to be an active, caring participant in that web, not just a bystander. And the rusty lock? It's tribalism, favoring your in-group and making an enemy out of the out-group.
Getting past that kind of division takes real insight, real intuition, which is why unlocking with helps you connect to your third eye chakra, your center for wisdom and mindfulness. This piece of wisdom, wow, it's just so important. It says that before you speak, before you even act in a relationship, your energy has to be coming from a place of love and connection, what he calls love with. And if it's not, it's better to just be quiet. That is a serious check on our intentions as leaders.
And that brings us to the seventh and final key, wish. Now, this is not about wishing for a promotion or a bigger house. The key here is a deep spiritual desire for your own true self and all living things to thrive and be fully alive. It's a selfless wish that goes way beyond the ego. And when you can connect to that, you open up the crown chakra, your gateway to a higher spiritual consciousness, to that feeling of being one with everything.
So here we are at the ultimate question for any leader. What's really driving you? Where does your ambition come from? Is your deepest wish really about your ego, getting more power, more money, more fame? Or is it coming from somewhere deeper? A wish to actually contribute to a sense of oneness, of shared well-being for everyone? So when you put it all together, what this framework really gives you is a path. It's a choice between two ways of being. On one side, you've got that goat head perspective, a leader who's stuck, always reacting, trapped by their own filters, and probably pretty inauthentic. But on the other side, by working through these 7 W's, you can cultivate a totally new perspective, aware, authentic, expansive, and deeply, deeply interconnected. Look, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a real practical guide for getting to know yourself better. So as we wrap this up, the question isn't for me, it's for you. As you look at these 7 keys, who, what, when, where, why, with, and wish, which rusty lock in your own life, which one are you going to try to open first?
Well, okay. There you go. So let's chat a little bit and do a breakout. I see applause, so I'm really happy that you're not throwing goat heads at me. Thank you for that. Um, so what questions can I answer to go into a breakout, which just pursues kind of which rusty lock do you want to unlock in your own life with a key, one of the keys. Any key would do. Anything? That's a simple question, I'm sure. So, you ask any comments or
Yeah, I have a question.
okay, please.
Well, yeah, I think it's it might be strange for others, but have you always think like this or you have changed? Because I'm quite like a goathead. I don't see any future of changing. It's too difficult.
Yes, the question is, have I changed? Absolutely. And I changed when I met Grace Ann, declared myself a vegetarian so I could date her. And then I changed when I met Guradev and got my new name. I changed when I was 53 years old, and my mother told me the meaning of David was beloved, and Michael was the archangel Michael, and Boje meant a buoy in the harbor, and so that was my who. Yeah, and yeah, and sometimes I'm a goat head, and I don't behave in my who that I want to be. So, hey, Sabine.
I love this presentation, but I don't think there's anything easy about this in a way, because identifying the rusty locks, I think that is quite a task to find them, admit to them, and move so that you have oil in the locks so that the locks turns a little better. I feel like identifying them, that's really difficult.
Uh,
Because we have this vision of ourselves, and we can't necessarily see, right? I mean, we do things a certain way, and we, as you said, we don't question. And to it's like going over a threshold and say, wait a minute, I'm doing this, but maybe that is a rusty lock. But to
those
get
are the
to
ones.
get to that, oh my God.
Those are the ones. Jack and I missed 2 appointments with you, Jack. And I pride myself in never missing anything and being early because I'm married to Grace Ann, who beats me over the head if I'm late. Not literally, well, sometimes literally. And then, I found myself not able to keep my appointments. I was a rusty lock, and I had to deal with it. And Grace Ann and I, for the third appointment, we wrote it down. We got the time zone straight. We blocked out the time. We were gonna bulldozers couldn't get us away from Jack on that third appointment. But
I mean, I
anyway.
guess my point is, I think, there are cases where, like, okay, I'm always late, or I never finish a task, or, I mean, there's some that are more obvious than others,
Oh, sure.
right? But where sometimes the rusty locks are quite hidden, right? I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why goat heads do this service to you. And you step on one, you say, I just found another one. Let me go to Carol. Carol got her hand up. Go ahead.
I'm a little bit in awe of this. Thank you, Sabine, for making it obvious that this is complex and complicated both. Um, but what struck me is the connection between Ken's assignment, which I am very much struggling with,
Yeah.
to get to you're holding up the goat head. It seems to me that you hit me very deeply that until I gather all the answers to the locks, it's not really possible to be totally authentic in doing those steps. They're superficial, and that scares me.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. It scares me too. But I'm kind of giving up on the idea that I'm totally authentic and that maybe in the next life or something. But I'm just not sure anybody can be totally authentic, you know? I'm just not sure.
So
I know
it's what do
Gurdjieff was. He worked at it though, an hour a day, meditating an hour a day. And am I doing that? No. I'm lucky to get 5 minutes a day, you know? So go ahead.
I guess my biggest question is a practical one.
Hmm.
Is this possible to do alone? You said three examples of how it wasn't something you did alone. It was by being in collaboration or communication with somebody else.
Yeah,
And
the
does that,
with.
I'll stop there. I
Yeah,
think
with the
this is
with is
really
really
profound.
I'm with you, the with you all, and with Thinkment, because for in Thinkment, I got to think things through, and then I'm with you, and I got to get feedback, and then I know, like, okay, I'm closer. But am I there? I don't know if I'm ever there, and to the oneness of being, which this is the topic, being. But being a leader, I think, is very, very complicated and complex. I'll put it that way.
Well, I
Um,
feel like a broken record, but I was very impacted at ODN by Peter Block,
oh yeah,
who nobody was really interested in going to his talk because it's always the same. Doug was there, so he might be able to verify what I said. And I went because out of respect, and I walked away. I've heard him many times. I've never heard him like that.
yeah.
And he said, basically, leadership is dead. He said, the people of the future are connectors.
I, I used to get thrown out by saying leadership is dead of these conferences, but I remember Edgar Schein, before he died, wrote a book with his son on humility and how being humble is the first step in all of this. But we're
But
getting,
that came late in life with Ed Schein,
oh
who
yeah,
I fortunately knew a little bit. And
I
he
did
was
too.
very open about it.
Yep.
So is it a maturity issue? Anyway, we could go on and on. I guess this is for a breakout.
Well,
And I'm looking at Doug's smile and I want to hear what
some
he has
people
to
like
say.
Gracie Ann mature very early, and some people like me have yet to accomplish that. So, Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just so sort of comment to Carol's point. I think we all and to correlate to what David says, I think those are little wow moments. I think Locke had a little wow moment at a point in his life, and feels a little bit more authentic about expressing it. So, and maybe Edgar Schein, I hadn't seen that bit on humility yet. So I'm sorry I missed that. I'll pull that out. But maybe it's the same. But you know what struck me about your presentation, David, it's totally appropriate to talk about as leaders and the width. But I think those goat heads, it's not just barbs with other people. I think it's the toughest barbs as we try to figure things out are the barbs within ourselves. Exactly. And what we do to ourselves thinking that's the right thing. And just that's why the therapists make so much money.
Absolutely. Well, Olivia, what is your take on all this?
Yeah, I really loved it. And I love the simplicity. I was amused by how your name got pronounced differently
Every
throughout.
time. I got a different name every time.
I think you could probably get that fixed. But I just wanted to comment too on the leadership is dead. I think the top-down fear-based leadership is dead. And I think the kind of leadership now is more of that servant
Yeah,
leader. And I read a
right.
book years ago that, if you I feel like if we're in our purpose, and I believe in we have a divine purpose, then we'll attract people that we lead without really forcing it. It's just we attract the leadership role. So that's
Law
my
of
comment.
attraction. Well, thank
Yeah.
you, Olivia. Thank you very much. Jack Rody.
Uh, okay. Yeah, I agree about service. And it's funny in the coaching industry, the coaches that give away everything they know on their website and they're the most successful coaches. People that hold back, like, oh, I can't, you have to pay. If you want that, you have to pay for it. And I know I learned this from Ken Long, just give everything away and everybody will come back to you. They say, this guy's very generous. I want to take one of his courses and maybe make him my coach. I mean, that's how the coaching industry has become much more service oriented. But I just wanted to say one thing on the word humility. Since humility came up, I think most of the world doesn't realize how different Sigmund Freud was from Carl Jung. Sigmund Freud really felt that he was the mentally healthy one, and his patients or his clients were mentally ill, and he was there to help fix them or heal them. But when Jung came along, he really was humble and saw himself in all of his patients and saw his own shortcomings in his patients that were also part of his world. And that's one of the big things that separated those two when the world of psychology started to grow in the direction of a much bigger area, including literature and mythology. And, what Jung opened up to all of us was just tremendous in psychology. That's all I have. Thanks.
Well, I'm wondering if we need a breakout or if we've already done a breakout because we're kind of I wanted you to understand the seven W's. I think you're there. I wanted you to understand the goat head metaphor. And to answer Sabine's earlier question before the film, goat heads, the goat head puncture vine actually served many purposes over many thousands of years. So it's a source of medicines for different peoples around the world. It's the weevils, beetles, they eat goat heads, so they're a source of food, at least for the weevils. Beyond that, I'm not sure what value these things are, but they are of some. And every superorganism um, is a relationship to the other superorganism. The problem is when they came over from Europe to our place here in New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona. I don't know if you got them, Ken Long. I'm going to get to your question next. But they just thrive on this barren kind of cactus-ridden, dry climate. So, man, they just grow so quick and big. And so many of them. Ken Long.
Strange. First of all, authenticity, it's inevitable and always there. You are, whatever you do is your authentic self, and everybody can see it.
Ah, okay.
The mistake comes from you've got some ideal self that you're thinking about and planning about, act in a certain way so that people will think of you in a certain way. And when you think you're doing that, you think you're coaching your authentic self. That's your ideal self. Your authentic self is what you do and everybody sees it. So start there. Second, fear-based leadership is not dead. It is stronger than ever. You just look around and see it at work. Now, you better defeat it instead of saying it's already dead. Third thing, humility, I think, is as big a sin as being a braggart. If you have a gift and don't share it, shame on you. And if you let your own humility stop you from telling your true story, then that's who you are. Don't be humble. Be true, genuine, honest, and helpful.
Okay. Thank you, Ken. Um, are you ready to dig into Jeffrey Epstein and the files and all the characters, or do you want to do more where you're sitting on what we're doing? Take your pick. Doug, what was that motion?
That was move on. Move
Move
on. Go
on.
ahead. Yeah.
Joy Harris, go ahead.
Well, I didn't comment on the first part, and since we're moving on, I agreed to move on, but what a great video. I mean, I really loved it. And I really have studied the seven chakras for decades, but one really stuck out for me. So if we had gone to a breakout room, I would have been able to say, yeah, I'm pretty good. I feel pretty secure there. The lock opens pretty easy. And then one was just like, oh, I think that might be a rusty lock. So I really appreciate that. And then along the lines of leadership, I think it would have been as long ago as in the 90s in a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. We were in an electronic data interchange department, EDI, and not everybody can just come into EDI. You definitely have to learn what that even is. But we had rotating leadership and we had a team leader, and then we would just migrate on to another leader, and everyone reported to someone. Like, I mean, we all reported to the same person, like for your HR and a different level of leadership. But as far as teamwork for getting the work done, we rotated leadership. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
All right, wonderful. George Mendoza, can you unmute yourself if you would, please? If you're going to talk, push your button. George, you going to push the button? Or are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? This George is there. George is here, and we're going to talk to him about a potential funding for a movie eventually. So right after this meeting, or maybe during it. Hey, George, I see you leaning towards the screen. So the lower left of your screen in the push on your picture, and then lower left you should see uh, the unmute button. While George is doing
You
that,
got it.
here he is. Yay, yay.
There it is. Okay. Now, that presentation was great, but I want to talk about the plant.
The
The
plant.
goat,
Yeah.
the goat heads, the Indians would smash it together, put it in some kind of lard, and eat it, and they could run 50 miles a day.
Yeah.
And the actual plant, I make a tea out of it. It's like, I don't know the name of the plant, but I make a tea out of it, and it's like a substitute for spinach. And then it grows as long seeds, and those are the goat heads that if you crush it, put it in like a lard or something like that, you can eat it, and it gives you super energy.
Okay. I don't want to eat it, George.
No, but the plant itself is beautiful this year.
Oh
It
my
grew
God,
about
it
12
is.
feet tall in my backyard.
You got one too? Oh
I
my
got a
God.
million of them.
Well, there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. We're going to send Siggy over to your place. All right.
No, I make tea out of it every day.
All right. I will
It's really
try that,
good.
George. I will try that.
Okay.
All right. Let me switch gears to Jeffrey Epstein. I've got a video on it. In fact, I got about 5 of them that are on the website, growthod.org. And if you scroll down into the schedule, and the schedule scrolls, you got to scroll down to being, you'll see about about 6 or 7 videos there.
David,
Yes, sir.
can you switch me to Jack and I?
Yeah, I'll do that during the breakout. How about that?
Okay, thank you.
I know you're anxious. I know you're
Yeah.
anxious. So hang in there. All
Okay.
right. Um, I want to tell you that I've done some research into this. I know Olivia has. How many of you have done research into the Jeffrey Epstein scandal case? Heard at least 3 YouTubes,
Yeah.
you know, have an opinion, something like that. All right. So, my opinion is not going to be any better or worse than the rest of yours. I will say that historically, and from what I've been looking at and researching as a researcher, I'll throw in a credential. Hey, Jeffrey Epstein is a psychopath. He's a sex trafficker with his assistant. Children, women, men, boys, girls. He lies. He makes up lies about presidents, journalists, congressmen, senators, uh, heads of universities like Harvard. Uh, so he's has umpteen thousand emails, 10,000, 60,000, whatever the number. And in those emails, he systematically recruits people to be part of his friendship, pretends to be the friend, gives them advice, etc., before they even know that he has an island, that he does all A, B, C to children, women, men, sex trafficking. Grace Ann and I have been studying modern day slavery and for some time, and we know how it works with intimidation. So if you're a witness or a participant or you've seen it, you know about it, um, people will go to your home country and threaten your family, grandparents, grandchildren, etc., in addition to yourself. So all of that said, I'll just make a solid prediction. We are never going to know the truth.
Yeah, how can we? Yeah.
Because like the goathead plant, there's 10,000 versions of this floating around. And if you think that your New Year's present is going to be to understand the Epstein files, think again. Because people that have a lot more money than you or I and bigger corporations than I've ever worked for, and bigger universities and bigger news agencies and bigger political parties have a stake in this not coming true. Now, if you listen to the victim stories, they are totally amazing accounts of who did what, when, where, why, with whom, why, their wish to be free. I mean, they can go through those 7 W's all day long and probably pass every lie detector test out there. I'm not saying all of them, some of them, like anybody that's been through trauma, can they really give an account of the past? Probably not, 100%. So I don't want this to degenerate into I'm a Democrat and those Republicans are this or that. And I'm a Republicans and those Democrats are the sexual perverts of the planet. You know, that's not the bullshit kind of discussion I want to have about a bunch of mature, intelligent adults. What I want to do is focus on leadership. And when bitten by the goathead plant, we cave in. And so when I show this next video, I just want to say I'm very scared to show it to you because I don't want to. But the other to degenerate into echo chamber stuff. But the other thing I will say, I put out a few shorts and I'm getting more hits on those shorts than anything I've done. And so people are tuning in and want answers. And they want leaders that, I don't know if they're servant leaders. We certainly are way beyond theory X and theory Y. We're certainly beyond the dyadic model of leadership. And we're beyond any kind of notion of being authentic as a leader. And I agree with Ken's long spirit of his comment, but I also believe that if we say we're being authentic and true, I'm going to grab my wallet, you know, 9 times out of 10. So with that, I'm going to introduce a video. So I've been introduced my skeptical self, and I will wish for the best. Wish for the best. And let me key up the video. If anybody can wait for that, and whoa, I don't even know what that is. That's weird. Okay. All right. Okay, I got to find my video. Hold on. I lost it, as you might imagine. I just lost all of them. All right, that's weird. YouTube. Okay. All right. Videos. All right. Which one do we want to look at? Let's see. I'm going to go with this one. I don't know. I just got a feeling
crumbles
that it'll work, but we'll see. Okay. Sorry about that. Share. Press all the buttons. Get the background. Got it. All right. Love you all. Let's try it.
David that started screen sharing.
If you would mute yourself.
Mute DR. David screen.
Here, I'll help you.
David
I'll
that
help you
started
mute.
screen share. DR.
Hold on. I got you, George. Okay. If y'all stay muted, because if you're not muted, you'll be on TV land. Okay. All right.
The source material literally says it falls apart like a disaster movie. Okay, and that who connects perfectly to the why, our fifth W. Let's look at the motivation here.
I don't know why we're so far down the line here. Let's go back to the beginning. Okay. Try it again. I just got poked by one of these goat head seeds. You got to see this little guy. It's got 3 spikes on it, you know? And let's see if I can grab it here without getting poked. Almost impossible. There he is. You see the two horns? And it looks like a goat, the head of a goat. Well, they get stuck in you, in your palms, fingers, side of your face, and your hair. They're little burrs, and they get picked up by the paws of our dogs and brought in the house. They'll get in my tennis shoes, and I'll bring them in the house. They get on my clothes, and I'll bring them from one house to another house. They spread. They're a superorganism, a plant that punctures you with its goat head seeds. And I'm using it as an analogy of the Epstein file. I think a lot of people got poked and punctured by these goat head seeds, and some of them have actually turned into a goat head. I think Epstein turned into a goat head. I don't think anybody's doubting that. But all kinds of Congress people and senators and CEOs and movie stars and journalists and academics got caught up, got poked by the goat head seeds, and now they're trying to get them off of them. They're trying to get rid of them. And that's what this is about. I'm using the goat head as an analysis of the 7 W's, as I call them: who, what, when, where, why, with whom, and the wishes that they could get the goat head seeds off of them. So I use that as an analogy to go through the Epstein files and the people involved. Victims, well, they got story seeds there. They're close to true in their own mind anyway. And then you got institutions that say, well, whoa, we don't want any part of this. We've got all kinds of rules and we're going to steer that narrative. We're going to manipulate that narrative. And you're never going to ever know what's true. So here's my
So, the
analysis.
Epstein scandal, we've all seen the headlines, right? But what if I told you that to really get what was going on, I mean the deep, systemic stuff, we need a totally different way of looking at it. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to use this incredible framework called the GOATHEAD analysis to dissect this whole messy web of power and silence. Let's get into it. All right, first things first, what on earth is a goat head? Well, literally, it's this really nasty plant. You know the type. It's an invasive weed with these horrible thorny seeds that get into everything. If you've ever gotten one stuck in your bike tire or even worse, your shoe, you know the feeling. They're painful, they're relentless, and they are a total nightmare to get rid of. And trust me, it's the perfect metaphor for what we're about to impact. Yeah, because that's exactly what systemic corruption is like, isn't it? When we talk about a goat head superorganism, we're not talking about a plant anymore. We're talking about a system of corruption that's just as invasive, just as thorny. It digs into the very fabric of our institutions and just punctures everything. It's what happens when the people at the top get caught in a scandal, and suddenly those painful, thorny truths start spreading to everyone and everything they've ever touched. So, how does this goat head actually work? Well, it all boils down to a battle between two things. On one side, you have what are called story seeds. Think of these as the raw, unfiltered truth. All those thousands of emails, the text messages, the powerful testimony from survivors, those are the thorny seeds of reality. But then on the other side, you have these story filters. And this is the really crucial part. These are the tools the powerful use to control the narrative, to twist, to bury, and to completely reframe those painful truths so they can protect themselves. Okay, so how do we even begin to pull this thing apart? We're going to use a framework called the 7 Ws. Now, this goes way beyond your basic who, what, where, when. We're talking about a deep dive toolkit that helps us understand the anatomy of the scandal. We'll start with who and follow the thread all the way to the final and maybe most important one, wish. It's going to give us a super clear map of how this whole corrupt system worked and how people fought back. So let's jump in with the first W, who. And right away, you see this massive contrast. On one side, you have the victims, who really define themselves as courageous survivors. Their identity was built on fighting for justice, for truth. But then you look at the enablers, the CEOs, the powerful figures in this whole mess. Their identity? It's described as completely non-authentic, totally superficial. It's all about self-preservation. And their character ultimately just crumbles. The source material literally says it falls apart like a disaster movie. Okay, and that who connects perfectly to the why, our fifth W. Let's look at the motivation here. For the survivors, the why is crystal clear. This is a fundamental human issue. They're demanding transparency, they're demanding accountability. Simple as that. But for the enablers, their why is, well, it's a whole different story. It's all about things like shareholder value, or let's be real, protecting friends and donors. So you've got this huge clash. One side is fighting for truth, and the other is just desperately trying to protect the system. And this brings us to one of the system's most powerful weapons. It's a key story filter called the weaponization of complexity. Sounds fancy, right? But what it really means is using ridiculously dense legal and financial jargon to hide what's really going on. The source calls it pseudo-technicist mumbo-jumbo, which is just perfect. Basically, they make it so confusing and so complicated that a regular person can't possibly figure out who to blame. It's literally a shield made out of pure confusion. So where did each side find its strength? That's the 6th W, with. And again, it's a story of two completely different worlds. The survivors found power in unity. They formed what was called a sorority, creating a single, united voice that cut through all the political noise. But the enablers? They circled the wagons. They operated inside this tight-knit, in-group echo chamber. And their greatest weapon? A deafening silence. Just silence from all the people who knew the truth but chose to protect the club instead. And that whole strategy of silence, it's all about playing with time. Which brings us to our 3rd W, when. Think about it. Time itself becomes a weapon in this fight. For the victims, when is now. It's the lifelong trauma they carry. It's that urgent feeling that justice delayed is justice denied. But for the enablers, the goal is the complete opposite. They want to stall. They want to engineer amnesia, as the source puts it, to literally rewrite the past and keep the truth trapped in this endless limbo, just hoping everyone forgets and accountability never comes. But here's the thing. This goat head system, it isn't unbeatable. And this is how you pull out the roots. The survivors actually turned the enablers' game right back on them. They took the elements of this very framework and used them as weapons. They used their with to create that powerful, united voice. They used their why to relentlessly demand transparency. And crucially, they used their wish, the final W, their fight for their younger selves, to make it clear this isn't about politics. This is a human issue, plain and simple. So, if you want a really modern way to think about all this, here it is. The GOATHEAD system is basically a software virus. Imagine it gets into a company's or an institution's operating system. The real facts, those story seeds we talked about, are the data being fed in. But the virus, the GOATHEAD, uses those story filters like malicious code to corrupt all that incoming information. So what comes out? The only thing that can come out, results that protect the virus and make sure no one is ever held accountable. So when you step back and look at the big picture, what does all this mean? Well, this framework is so much bigger than just one scandal. It's a blueprint. It's a way to see the anatomy of systemic corruption anywhere. You can see how it plants its roots, how it builds up all these thorny defenses, and maybe most importantly, you can see how to start pulling it apart. So the real question, the one I want to leave you with, is this. Now that you know what to look for, what other goat heads do you see out there in the world?
Well, okay, so how do we do? Let me go find the, I got to kill the rest of the videos.
Story tonight concerns healthcare.
Okay, stop it. Nice guy, but go away. Okay, video's off. So what do you think? Or what didn't you think? 2 fingers up. It's better than 1 finger up. I appreciate that. So we go into a breakout, and we'll pair you off. And George isn't here at the minute, so oh, here's George. So going to do a breakout. Pairs sound okay, or do you guys want an observer? 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we go into 6 rooms, that'll give us pairs. Is that okay? Give you time to talk. Okay.
What would you like the focus of the discussion to be?
I would like you to focus on the Epstein case and the way in which victims are forming the sisterhood, I guess, and the way in which those that have been stuck by the goat head are trying to shake it off. And they've got corporations, a bank, supposedly Chase Bank is involved, but there's no actual evidence that they ever were involved. It's just, so there's a lot of people involved that are not involved, and there are people involved who are involved. Anyway, so I'm kind of interested in the way in which you all approach this case, you know? So however you approach it, that's up to you, you know? All right, we're going to go to breakouts. Yay, happy day. 1, 2, 3, 4.
David, you got me with Jack?
I got you. I got you. Do not worry about this.
All right, thank you, sir. Good seeing you, though.
Let me see. I'm going to see how you wound up, and I'm going to exchange with George. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. I can only predict, but I'm thinking it's awesome. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Breakout
Rooms are open.
open. You can navigate the breakout rooms in the meeting controls to join. Zoom Workplace, breakout rooms, DR.
Just choose your button and find your
What do
button.
I do?
Dean and Sue. Find your button. You got a button that says join. Same with Sabine. You got a button that says join.
Okay, I see it.
Success coach has left the meeting.
I can get the stupid thing, the little.
Sabin has left the meeting.
Here, okay.
Hold on. I just got to get the little. Okay, I see it. Got.
All right, they're there. They're all away. I'm never sure if I'm recording or not when I'm here alone with you. So I'll just say that Epstein case has got a lot of viney shoots in it, a lot of goat head seeds. There's a lot that's fabricated. There's a lot of lying and self-protection going on by institutions and people. And I'll leave it there. Hope I don't have to cut a lot out when we get back. Better start my timer.
Chat, react, share, meeting info, apps, more, leave, audio now unmuted, Zoom meeting tools, audio, okay button, video now.
Okay, George, you got kicked out of your room.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. Can you
You
put
had
me?
your audio on and you were in the room.
Okay, can you put me back in?
I can try. Let's see. No, you have to push the button yourself.
Where is it?
It's the one that says join.
I don't see join here.
You found it once. It's the same button.
Yeah, but it's not up now.
Hold on, I'm gonna bring Jack out. Hold on.
Yeah.
He's not moving. He's staying. All right, let's see. All right, move to. There's nothing I can do because I can't see you on the screen anywhere. Okay.
You can't see me?
No, I can see you now, but
I don't see join. There's no join.
Okay. It's got to be there somewhere.
No.
All right. Okay, I'm going to join with Jack, see if I can get him out. Hold on.
Okay.
Got it.
David, yeah, George is not here. I don't know what happened to George.
He popped in and then he pushed the wrong button. He popped out and I got no way to get him out. Would you just leave the room and you have in the lower right-hand count, it says leave breakout room.
Yeah, I can do that. You want me to leave the room?
Yeah, and he's at the main gate.
Okay.
And leave breakout room.
Now, DR.
I see you, David.
Okay.
2 people.
So what do you need from me, Jack? Jack.
The Bill Serene. Give me more on Bill Serene.
Okay, I'll do that.
David, you're muted.
You're all on being recorded. You're all back. So we're going to focus on the Epstein case and appreciate it. And let's go for it. I want to say I left the main room and I joined Olivia and Paul. So I'm in that group. Who'd like to start? Jack Rody, would you like to start? Your hand is up.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, David. One of the things the women. By the way, there's over 1,000 girls, little girls in this. Girls age 14 to age 18. Now, one thing you'll never hear from the media because they won't allow it, and the women in this room know what I'm talking about. The level of trauma and the level of woundedness for these little girls is way, way over our heads as men. What they went through, these girls, what they went through is way, way deep as a wound. Now, you never hear that through the media, but these girls were literally, I mean, if it was me, I would be suicidal right away. But these girls, their lives were ruined. I mean, their ability to recapture intimacy in a healthy way and the woundedness of getting over that is so tremendous. We as men don't even understand it. These girls, and there's 1,000 of them, everybody, 1,000 of these girls. And I mean, the one main girl that committed suicide, oh my God, she just checked out, Virginia Giuffre, whatever her name was. But we don't understand this level of woundedness. What I'm thinking about in our society is these men who have navigated their world to make billions of dollars. In other words, I'm a macro guy. So when I look at the men that manage their life to become very successful monetarily, or were waylaid emotionally as little boys and never developed as mature men at all. And yet we have a system in our country, our world, whereby these men can navigate their way up the ladder of monetary success. See, this is very insane. And yet then when they're highly successful, they're willing to rape little girls that are 14, 15 years old. Just think about that. They're willing to rape 14-year-old girls, for Pete's sakes. This is the world we live in, and these are the men that reach the highest level in the corporate money world. See, those are the two dynamics I want you to just think about for your life, for this particular episode. The girls, the trauma is way, way over what most of us realize. I know what betrayal looks like because I've been betrayed in a scam and I lost a lot of money. But this is way, way over what happened to me, because this is the body, and this is the intimate part of a girl's body that was betrayed, and they were enslaved into that world for some of them for several years, many years. That's all I have to say. I don't want to change the mood of the room too much, but that's all I have.
Jack, it's too late. You changed the mood of the room because this presentation was all about energy, and you've changed the energy of the room, and you've been passionate. Thank you very much. Who would like to go next?
Wow.
And silence is complicity.
Wow.
Okay, everybody wants to talk now. Ken Long, go ahead, please. And then Paul.
Doug and I talked about putting in a good word for the goat head. In this case, the goat head is the truth that will not be denied, cannot be ignored, but you have to stop and do something about it because it won't allow you to just continue on as normal. The corporate response to that is to pave it over and make it a parking lot. So it behooves all of us to protect the goat head and ensure that it gets fully processed so that there's an accountability for the transgressions. And little truth has to battle like a goat head in order to fight its way into consciousness. This is a battle. This is not inevitable. It's a thing you have to work on. Uh-huh.
Can you see the goat heads there? George, I got some goat heads for your tea.
Okay.
They were on my tennis shoes from going outside to open the gate to our property.
Yeah.
Interesting comment. All right, so Olivia, you're up.
Yeah, I just love what you said, Ken, and remind me that George makes tea out of the goat head. So I wonder what all the other amazing qualities are, and if you put it in water or oil, does it soften? And it's just a beautiful metaphor for how we think something's so negative, but it can perhaps heal or expand, whatever. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm doing a newsletter for LinkedIn about both sides of the goat head thing and the Epstein. And wow, I'm still not done. So interesting. I know Grace Ann and we study modern day slavery, and we studied in the agricultural fields, but there was a lot of rape and a lot of sexual abuse of women in those fields. And it took scores, well, a couple decades, maybe three, before the Justice Department, FBI, and all that would actually prosecute the perpetrators in a way that didn't affect the victims' rights. So the victims would often be locked up with the prosecuting with the perp and the victim, both went to jail, and then the perp would call and get the family of the migrant who'd been kidnapped, by the way, and they couldn't testify. So they've changed that law. They've changed that law so they don't lock up the victim, right? They lock up the perp. but I don't know what's happened lately. Anyway, I'm concerned that this case will distract attention from the 100 million women around the world that are in sexual slavery because there's so many people covering their ass that is it going to really expose the extent of the problem? Uh, so that's my 2 cents. Well, Livy, are you back again?
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to add, because of what Jack said, that sadly, it's actually some younger and some born into it based on my research. And it's more than 1,000. It's global. It's so I believe that it's a huge healing for our planet, that what we're going to learn is going to be difficult. And that by healing this, exposing it first, and also for years, the DOJ and others, what we're going to learn is a lot of them were compromised. A lot of those people that were suppressing victims or making it hard for victims to come forward. So that's all being rectified. And it is challenging to hear. We're, I believe, going to be hearing things that are hard. And then beyond that, we have this new world to create with love and leadership the way we want, with still having goat heads, but being able to use them in a positive way. That's my
Doug, I see
comment.
you there. I'm wondering, we turn to Doug, if this is a process outcome issue. Like the victims want an outcome,
Well, I'm
and
actually,
the perps are denying the process. So it's kind of a reverse of being process oriented to being obstructors of process. But that's my
well,
2 cents, Doug.
I was even earlier on the process here. And, what struck me coming out first, and I shared with Ken, was, um, how, and I echoed Jack's sentiment here. These are kids. And so, how do you protect those kids in the process here? They're not even adults that are legally or mature wise able to make appropriate decisions. So you're lured into this nexus here, and the goat head metaphor is a good one. And for me, it became, where is, we're talking about what the Department of Justice does, but I've been involved a lot as a scout leader, and scout has had its problems before. It fortunately, and I'm not saying there wouldn't be issues even in the future, but there's mechanisms that have been brought in that are called youth protection training, and that basically means no adult and kid can ever be alone together, ever, ever, ever. And if it happens, there's a trigger, there's a warning sign, and so that there's actions that start to take place. And so I'm wondering, how do we not only address these issues now, but how do we gain responsibility? Because I think when we just say it's the Department of Justice, that's now an enforcement mechanism. How do you raise the flags at first? And I think that takes all of us stepping out of goat head and realizing that we got to remove it right now and bring it to light as potentially an issue. No one likes that, but there are rules. We need to start having a little bit more community action around just bringing this to light before it happens. That's my 2 cents.
I got a story to share. How many of you actually know sexual pervert that takes advantage of small children? I know one.
Say that again, David.
Personally, how many of you personally know a person that exploits sexually small children? So one of you, I didn't mean to out you. I should mean a rhetorical question. So I got into business. I got into this small church in Los Angeles, and I went into business with two men, formed a business, and I was in between universities at the time. And I thought, oh, great, I'm with two Christians. I'm a Christian at the time. I wasn't into Jane yet. And the first one turned out to be Hare Krishna. Nothing against Hare Krishna, but he wouldn't let any of the wives work in the business. So that meant I had to do work, and my wife at the time couldn't be in the business. My other partner's wife couldn't be in the business. All three partners. No women allowed. Only men. It was male-oriented, dominated, misogynistic bullshit. Then Okay, we finally got rid of that partner. So it was down to me and one other partner. And one day he confides that he diddles his daughter and has been doing it since she was like 2 years old. At the time, she was a teenager who knew my daughter. And we were in the family relations and having dinner all the time and weekly. And I pulled the plug. I pulled the plug. I shut down the business. I paid all the other thing, he wasn't paying all the bills and holding out, getting us into trouble. And so I pulled it all and I blew the whistle. And that church retained him and I got kicked out. You know what a little evangelical church can be if they're too small and they don't have checks and balances, like that rule you said, be watching the children with the men or the women with the children too. Um, and that story sticks with me. That is a goathead story that, I remember talking to him. He said, "Well, aren't you going to forgive me? You're a Christian. Aren't you going to forgive me?" I said, "I forgive you, but I have to tolerate you in my life. You're out of here, you know? Forgive yourself and move on." And his wife stayed with him. He stopped diddling, as far as I know. And that's it. That's my story.
Well, to that story, David, first, thanks for sharing. And if that's true, if he stopped abusing his daughter, then your actions did have an impact. I mean, if that's true, then there's the little wow moment for you. That did the person pay for their crimes necessarily? Well, no. And then that's part of the thorny vines that get put into, in this case, an evangelical church. But if that actually happened, then you had an impact. And certainly you had an impact on your life.
Impact on my life. And nothing against the evangelical church. Just beware of small culty churches. That's all. And next up is Joy.
It just occurred to me, and also in my breakout room, that I've never even been a millionaire, much less been a billionaire, and I haven't been in the music industry, a movie star, or a politician. But I do know that every party's got to be better, and every drugs, you want the better, the more, and that kind of thing. So sex addiction is a real thing. So I hope that person did stop, and maybe they stopped with their own daughter, but it is a real thing. I mean, it is as addictive as alcohol and drugs. And I didn't have any addictions to any of those, but I know that when people want more sex, they're going to find it. And if you found out there's a party, they're going to have girls, they're going to have young girls at this party. It's more, more, more. And they don't even notice that they're that young, maybe. But yeah, I think I'm hearing the compassion from my men friends here, and that warms my heart that you have realized that you can't 100% put yourself in a woman's position, even if you only raped once, date rape or something, but you feel for these thousands of women who are put in that position and then, scarred for life. So thank you for all of us for having compassion for these people, the victims.
Thank you, Joy. We'll go to Sue.
Yeah, I'm the sports psychologist. I've been in gymnastics since I was a kid, and I got my first team when I was 18. And that's when I started noticing that, I mean, everybody, you guys know all about the scandals in the gymnastics world, other sports as well. But it was rampant back in my day when I was first coaching. And I could not believe all the coaches that were sleeping with their young athletes. I was 18. I didn't know what to do about it. They were at other gyms. They weren't at mine. I could complain at my own place. It wasn't going on at the places I ever coached. But anyway, from what Doug was saying with scouts, all Olympic sports now, every sport that comes under the IOC is has what's called safe sport, and there's tons of regulations. You cannot be with a child anymore. You cannot stay in a hotel room. Me as a female coach, I cannot stay with a female athlete. A parent has to go everywhere now. There's no massage therapy in any rooms. If something's going on, even like therapy, I've got to be in an open door, which, you try not to, you're doing, sports like stuff, but whatever, but it has to be all transparent or behind glass. There's a lot of glass rooms now in gyms and things like that. So, anyway, so safe sport is at least making a big improvement in just having huge regulations. And that's why you see now that all these coaches and taekwondo and judo and all this, I mean, all these sports now, swimming, it's all coming out because there's a system that people anonymously can go and file complaints.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll do the research. They're well funded, and it may take a while. I mean, and like I said, the FBI got in trouble with the gymnastics. They botched that so badly. So they had to revamp how they handle cases. But anyway, there are improvements being made on, at least,
Well, we've got to continue this next week in another session, and we're at the end of our time. And so I'm grateful that you were here and checked out the videos. I like the upfront discussion. And we have a videotape of it. And I'm hoping that our videotape will really help women, children that are being abused everywhere. And I'll leave it at that. Grace Ann, did you want to say something before I close the video?
I know we're out of time. I hate to go over, but I just want to say what Sabina and I talked about. We did not want to talk about the Epstein stuff. We didn't care. But we look at that as an example of people defining themselves in terms of power over instead of power with.
Okay.
And it's systemic through all levels of society, and it's not just one category. So as long as we maintain that power over thing, and instead of that, what we decided was important for us is you started with the question of who am I? And if we look at that in terms of who am I, a lot of it is in relation to other things and people, but who am I not in relation to others? And we decided that art, the heart and the art that comes out of people is something that is independent of your surroundings. And so that we wanted to focus on what is your art?
Okay.
What is just you apart from your relationship to others?
Okay. Thank you, Grace Ann. I'm going to end the video and thank everybody for tuning in to Growth OD this week. Thank you.